The US government faces a shutdown in just 14 hours if an agreement is not reached. Now, what happens if the government shuts down? Well, you could have airport delays, flight delays could increase like they did in 2019 due to TSA worker and air traffic controller shortages, museum closures, immigration backstops, because the courts may have compounding case backlogs, early childhood education. About 10,000 low-income children would immediately lose access to Head Start programs, food safety, FDA food safety inspections may be disrupted, which isn't good for anybody. Food assistance, WIC funding will be immediately at risk unless states step in, and SNAP funding is uncertain past October. Infrastructure, transportation, construction work across the nation could be put on hold. Transportation projects to repair subway tracks, rehabilitate buses, or buy new ones could pause, and national park closures could occur as well. What is going on, guys? AutoStocks here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Well, it is very serious now as a government shutdown is looming and actually could come into effect later tonight after you're watching this video. When we previously had government shutdowns, they lasted about a week or so, and these are some things that could be affected by a government shutdown in case you've never experienced one or don't know what it is. Now, this is all going to correlate into the overall stock market and affect the stocks that we look at. But first, I want to point out the S&P 500. It has fallen in the cycle like we expected for September. September is usually a bearish month, but we are finishing it. So lottery stocks, where do we go now with the SPY? Is it time to buy stocks, or do we double down on our bearish positions? Well, if we take a look previously, October, November are the times when the S&P 500 rebounds, and it rebounds hard. You can see it back here, and back here. And now we are finally at this level, down 8.17% on the S&P 500 from the relative peak. That's as low as we got, probably about 6% down right where we sit. But you have sort of this news, this negative news as a government shutdown looms, and we have this whole weekend to figure out, is the government going to get shut down? If it does, you could see more red on Monday. However, if it doesn't, I think it's already priced in the fears of a government shutdown, and you may see a relief rally coming right into early October. So just keep that on watch when you are looking at the S&P 500. Now, before we get into AMC and all this good stuff, I forgot to ask you guys, get this video to 1,000 likes, get us to 17,000 subscribers, because we are just brushing it. And also, drop a comment down below, government shutdown, because why not? Now, Robinhood sees $100 million finance costs tied to regulatory issues in the third quarter, and this isn't included in the 10 firms that the SEC fined $79 million for today for new violations related to communication policies, in quotes, widespread and long-standing failures to maintain and preserve electronic communications. Now that we got those out of the way, brokers placed a buying freeze on AMC and GameStop through Apex Clearing. This wasn't, in quotes, they and a few others like Gary Gensler indicated. In fact, New Discovery found while searching the exact amount of brokers Apex Clearing clears in the SEC archives, Apex FinTech's leading-edge platform makes it the trusted partner for a broad spectrum of clients, from the industry disruptors like Stash, SoFi, Webull, Ally, and eToro, to more traditional companies like Franklin Templeton and Marcus by Goldman Sachs. As of March 31st, 2021, approximately 175 clients rely on Apex FinTech's platform to support more than 14.4 million customers, including approximately 1.6 million crypto accounts. So the SEC tried to make it sound like it wasn't as bad by saying a few others when it supports over 14.4 million clients. Now, as of September 29th, 2023, AMC options have an IV of 102.43% and an IV rank of 11.35. The volume is 207,000 contracts, which is 65% of daily average volume of 319,000 contracts. The volume put-to-call ratio is 0.46, indicating a bullish sentiment in the market. So we have a bullish sentiment apparently going forward in the week, but the news says otherwise. Theater in Newport ended up closing due to a rat infestation, and it is all over the news. Plus, New York City flooding forces cinema closures, including AMC, which, as you look at it, none of this could possibly be good, right? Well, it doesn't really matter, because the domestic box office for 2023 may pass $7 billion this weekend, and last year in total was 7.3. Plus, if you count Taylor Swift, I'd say we already passed 7.3. Taylor will make more than 300 million easily, but let's forget about Swiftie for a second. Let's say we end Q3 at 7 billion. 7 billion, 3 quarters, 2.3 billion per quarter average, which means we may close at 9.3 billion for all 4 quarters. Now adding Taylor Swift, we may be looking at 10 billion this year, and pre-COVID, we were right around 11. If Taylor does 2 billion or more, we could beat 2019. So do those closures really matter? I mean, even if AMC had good news, they would still be spreading bad news over on the internet. Now, a quick touch on the options chain, I did want to point out that the call to put ratio is actually bullish on AMC going into next week and the week after and the week after that and the week after that, which is never the case. Okay, every single time, the week after the week after the week after that is always bearish on AMC. So are we about to get a turnaround next week? We definitely may be getting a turnaround. Now, whether that's margin calls about to hit or the SPY ready to rip from news that a government shutdown may not occur, who knows? But it does show an indication that AMC may turn bullish going into next week, as well as GameStop's option chain winning call to put ratio for week in and week out going forward. Now, we also had another order imbalance, 87,747 shares. Guess what? On the buy side, of course, like usual. Now, let's touch on Citadel. They had a $4 billion investment tied to Evergrande that has costed them a 99% loss. Lots of Evergrande news this week, and none of it positive for them. They missed another bond payment of $547 million onshore. They had to scrap their restructuring plans because the housing market in China was collapsing and their assets lost value. They couldn't issue new debt instruments and their stock price is tanking and losing what little value it has left. And you can see right here, manager Ken Griffin, Faraday Future Intelligent Electric Inc. recently did a 80-to-1 reverse split, losing money as the stock price goes into the floor. So I guess this is a choke on that moment, or kind of ironic at this point. Now, U.S. banks now face over $600 billion in unrealized losses, which accounts for roughly 25% of total banking capital. The second is the highest level in history and catching first fast. Margin calls incoming, buyer sales incoming, and MOAS incoming. There is a very good chance that margin calls could hit. I know we've been talking about them for a long time, but what's happening with banks, the government, is exactly what we need. We needed a larger entity to start failing, and we just saw Evergrande go under, and we're seeing the US government not in the best spot, as well as banks. Plus, Chase Bank has now closed the most branches, with more scheduled to close as well. In fact, US banks closed over 3,000 branches last year and only opened 1,000. Now, before we get into Bed Bath & Beyond, to close out the video, because I found some things that are pretty interesting, pop in the Discord. The link is right under the video and pinned in the top comments. It's only $1.99 for now. I'm in there on the daily. We talk stocks all day long, so if you want to come talk with me, see my trades as soon as I take them, and talk with 500 of the most amazing people, stocks all day long, post gains, post losses, this is the place to be. Do it before the weekend is over. Plus, if you guys want up to 16 free stocks, each valued up to a couple grand per stock, use my link, sign up for Moo, and make a deposit. A lot of you guys did it and didn't deposit, but the ones who did, you guys are getting those benefits of a free Tesla stock or Google stock, $50 sent to your account, and each of these 16 free stock valued up to a couple grand. Now, Sue Gov, the former CEO of now canceled Bed Bath & Beyond, gave a very misleading interview with eToro, suggesting that the company was turning around confidently, only to file bankruptcy 9 days later, should be investigated. Instead, Ryan Cohen gets investigated by the SEC. Now, I found this very interesting, right? Bed Bath & Beyond randomly dumped on shareholders when they said they weren't gonna, and now they are doing this. Following that up, Bed Bath & Beyond shares were officially canceled today as the bankruptcy plan went into effect. The shares now have no value, according to Bed Bath & Beyond in a filing today. So they basically just clapped every shareholder in the company. It's very odd, to say the least. Dropped 28%, and it does look bad. But honestly, I'm wondering why it didn't drop even more than 28% off of this news. I mean, AMC got diluted and it dropped more than that. It dropped about 70% or so. This company is already a penny stock. Why these short sellers already didn't make it go to zero, I have no idea, because the company is basically letting them. Macro trackers showing no shares available to borrow, no calls expiring in the money. In fact, only puts expiring in the money, and the short exempt volume are extremely high. The market makers are pushing it to zero, and they are going to profit off Bed Bath & Beyond, and the insiders are letting them do so. Overall, guys, that is what I got for you for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching or found value out of the video. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I love you all. Lottery Stocks out.